howl of a wolf is a powerful thing. For some, it conjures feelings of awe, reverence, wildness, and independence. For others, it means a threat nearby, something that could cost them and even disrupt their way of life. In Enterprise, Oregon, tucked into the northeast corner of the state, it's not hard to find folks on either side of the issue.
The first pack was here in Winona County.
John Williams is the chair of the Wolf Committee for the Oregon Cattlemen's Association.
Den was down here to your right behind this tree. It was known as the Wolf Highway in the early days.
For him, the problem with wolves is close to home.
Saw the wolves come by that house with the smoke on it. In 2009, we had our first pack. The next year, all of a sudden, they started killing livestock.
Williams has been tracking the increasing presence of wolves since they arrived. And he took us to some of the hot spots.
The tallest tree right there, they went into that thicket.
Wolves have been a contentious issue since settlers came to the West.
This is where the wolves went through. Tracks right here at this gate.
As apex predators, they mostly feed on deer and elk, but they also sometimes prey on livestock, setting up a conflict with ranchers that's lasted more than 100 years. That conflict is what led to their eradication from Oregon. With bounties put on their heads, the last of Oregon's original wolves was killed in 1947. But wolves would come back to Oregon, this time with protection under the Endangered Species Act, at least for a while. Those protections were lifted more than a decade ago, so Northeast Oregon seemed the perfect place to go to find out if these animals should be seen as an endangered species success story or something else entirely.
That's the camera.
After being gone more than half a century, wolf sightings began to pop up in eastern Oregon in the mid-2000s.
We used to celebrate a lot when we would get like a picture of a wolf butt, and that was like, yeah.
As wolves from Idaho began dispersing west.
But now we actually get some really awesome pictures.
That was around the same time Rob Clavins, the field coordinator with Oregon Wild, started working on the issue.
Wolves were starting to make their way back here into Oregon, and we just realized that there really wasn't anybody advocating on behalf of wolves.
And it didn't take long for him to see the draw of wolf country.
About 10 years ago, my wife and I moved out here, and we'd really started to fall in love with the place.
Where do you think we should put the camera?
Now, when he's not working for Oregon Wild, mounting trail cams or advocating for environmental issues,
Come on, babe.
Clavins runs a small working farm, a bed and breakfast, outside of Enterprise, not far from John Williams' place.
Come on, guys. There you go. There you go.
So Clavins has watched firsthand as Oregon's wolf population has grown. From just a couple transplants from Idaho to more than 175 wolves, living in 24 packs. Those wolves have made their way out of Northeast Oregon and now have territory in the Cascades, in southern Oregon, and have even established the first pack in California in more than a century. And while their numbers have grown, the sentiment that led to their extermination in Oregon,
this is a wolf highway,
remains.
I cannot underestimate the emotional trauma, the stress that the wolf is putting on ranchers. It is a game changer.
As Williams sees it, wolves, or more specifically their tendency to kill livestock, are threatening the way of life ranchers have enjoyed for decades.
It's the lifestyle. It's that I get to go out and I get to run a ranch and all the things that go with it. And today, you can't say that in wolf country because lifestyle has been taken from the rancher.
Now, it's true that wolves sometimes kill livestock. Last year, the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife investigated 121 suspected wolf attacks, confirming 76 of them. And that's a 55% increase from the previous year. Each wolf kill can represent a huge loss as well, with adult beef cows going for upwards of $1,500. Wolf attacks represent just a fraction of all livestock losses, though, and the state has a fund that compensates ranchers. But Williams said the effects of wolves on cattle can't just be measured in dead cows.
Their conception rate goes down about 10%. The calves come in 60 to 80 pounds lighter in the fall, if it's the right timing. These are the types of things that ranchers are dealing with. That it's not the dead animals that really economically get you.
And Williams is clear about what he thinks the solution should be.
When a wolf gets in trouble, it dies. And when it doesn't get in trouble, and it stays away from tolerant people, from people and their livestock and their private property, it lives and it breeds.
But there are rules about when a wolf can be killed in Oregon. When they first returned to the state and had federal protection, they were off limits. Protections were lifted in 2011, and wolves came under management from the state, which said wolves could only be killed in certain scenarios. Today, that means a wolf can be killed after 2 confirmed attacks within a 9-month span, but only if the rancher has used deterrents like range riders, noisemakers, and hazing. 24 wolves were killed in Oregon last year, 17 of them by humans. Of those, 6 were killed for repeated attacks on livestock, but another 7 were killed illegally.
I recognize that when it happens to you, it's a big deal, and we should do what we can to prevent it. But we just think that killing wolves should truly be the option of last resort.
Beyond that, he points to research that shows killing wolves often comes with unintended consequences. Wolves have complex social structures, and killing just one wolf in a pack can sometimes make the remaining wolves more likely to look for easy prey, like livestock.
When you shoot the wrong wolf, when you disrupt those pack structures, you disrupt the social dynamics of that pack, and you often make problems worse, which is why...
Clavins was quick to acknowledge that he doesn't know all the ins and outs of ranching like ranchers do, and there's no silver bullet to the problem.
I often liken killing wolves to itching a mosquito bite. It's easy, it's cathartic, it's just kind of the reflexive thing you do and sort of, oh, that should work. But the reality is that when you look at the science, it shows that there are better ways to do things.
So if you've been paying attention to wolf issues in the Pacific Northwest, this story might feel a little familiar so far. You've got ranchers on one side who want to protect their livestock. You've got wolf advocates on the other who want to protect the wolves. But there's another group that often gets left out of the conversation.
My name is Julian Matthews. I'm an enrolled member of the Nez Perce tribe.
In the mid-90s, the Nez Perce played an instrumental role in bringing wolves back to this part of the West. The federal government had been considering reintroducing wolves in the West for years, but Idaho's state legislature voted against the plan. So in 1994, the Nez Perce became the first tribe to lead the reintroduction of an endangered species into its native territory.
You know, they did these ceremonies, the elders were there singing songs and welcoming our brother wolf, the spirit of the wolf, back to our land.
Well, the wolf and other animals...
Wilbur Slockish Jr. is an elder in the Klickitat band of Yakima Nation, and he remembers hearing stories about the wolf from his grandmother and the role they played on the landscape.
And I distinctly remember her talking about the wolf. The wolf, he was there to take care of the sick, the old, and the injured animals. We would eat no disease or sickly animal or injured animal. That was his food.
You know, as tribal members, we have...
And while Matthews looks back with pride at the role his tribe played in wolves returning to the West,
they're living beings, and so we want to protect that.
He fears for their future.
So the Creator put us here to live here, and so we should feel the same respect towards them. Politically, they're not popular.
In my mind, we need to get control of it. A wolf...
Despite their political unpopularity and some ranchers wanting more freedom to kill them, wolf populations have been growing across the West.
Yes, guys, yes.
And both Clavins and Williams, two people who don't agree on much about wolves, say they've seen things move in the right direction. Williams says the state has been more responsive to the concerns of ranchers, even if he wished they were quicker.
In the last 6 months, we've seen changes. As I tell them, it's not near fast enough for what's happening out here with our livestock, the losses that we're having.
Come on, Pig.
And Clavins, he says that the heated debates from a decade ago have cooled.
In the time that I've been here, I've seen attitudes change. Certainly there are still really entrenched views, but generally I think things have moderated.
So does that mean that gray wolves should be looked at as a win for the Endangered Species Act? For all they disagree on, Clavins and Williams both say no, though their reasons differ.
You know, should there be wolves here? I think it's fine that we have wolves where wolves should be. And they're going to get there eventually because of the Endangered Species Act. But it's a sledgehammer when a tap hammer should have been used.
The Endangered Species Act has been successful in making species not go extinct. It hasn't been as good at getting species to biological recovery, but to the extent it's fallen short there, it's not because the Endangered Species Act is broken, it's because it's starving. We need more protections for wildlife, especially in an age of climate change and increasing development.